What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Justin Ford podcast, where I'll be releasing life-changing principles and valuable information focused on all things faith, finance, family, fitness, real estate, and so much more. Let's go! What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Justin Ford Unleashed podcast. Super excited to be with you here again today. I hope you've been doing great since the last episode. If you are loving the show, do me a favor, go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. And if you're really loving the show, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review and tell us what you love about the show. And if you haven't followed me yet, you can on social media at the official Justin Ford. Again, at the official Justin Ford. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and also here on YouTube. I got an incredible guest in the studio today, but before we get into that, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Next Door Lending. Next Door Lending is a team of professionals that believe everyone should be treated as if they live next door. The founders and team members have more than 150 years of combined loan experience, helping clients all over the country choose the best loan program to help you accomplish your goals. Next Door Lending is currently licensed in 24 states and has a team of over 100 loan officers specializing in helping you get the best rate and terms. Whether you're looking to refinance your home or you're looking to purchase your next home, call my friends over at Next Door Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. And for those of you guys who have been listening to the show and following the show, you know I love to bring on people and guests onto the show that are making an impact and making a difference that I believe bring something to the show that can help you and bring transformation into your life. So please help me welcome my business partner, my friend, Mr. Todd Wardo. How you doing, my brother?
Justin, thank you so much. I really appreciate me having on.
So glad you're here.
Yeah.
Todd, you do a lot of amazing things, and it's interesting on how our paths have crossed and even gotten to this point. We're gonna talk a lot about that today, but you're a transformational life coach.
Yes.
You're a real estate agent in Michigan and Florida.
Yes.
Which I love that combination, by the way, because I am too.
Yes.
And there's so many similarities that we have that we didn't know until, not too long ago when we really got to know each other, which, people can say those are coincidences, but, those are just signs right along the way. Obviously, you're a man of God. I'm a man of God. We'll talk about our faith today, but let's talk about you. Obviously you're in real estate.
Yes.
You've been doing this for a little bit of time, right? I would love to talk about what did you do before real estate and how did you get into real estate? Because I always love hearing everybody's story about how someone gets into real estate, because most people don't usually grow up saying, I can't wait to be a real estate agent one day. Usually just people fall into real estate or it's not really planned or an opportunity opens up, and it's really cool to hear everybody's story. So tell the listeners, what were you doing before real estate and how'd you get into real estate?
Sure. So I would say 2008, 9, when it was a little crazy in our lives.
Oh yeah.
I had a marketing and public relations company in Grand Blanc, Michigan.
Okay.
And I also was a professional photographer.
Nice.
So,
I did not know that about you.
General Motors was one of big client of mine.
Yeah.
And I had some graphic designers underneath us. And
that's
so
awesome.
I actually stepped into real estate through photography.
Wow.
So I started taking pictures of homes.
For other real estate agents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them in California, some luxury homes. And I was traveling around a little bit. And
that's a cool gig.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And actually got a chance to submit some of my work to Pure Michigan and stuff like that. So photography was a real big part of my life.
Yeah.
And I ran a fun business and enjoyed it very much. But that's how I got into real estate, because I really enjoyed doing the photography, but I knew where we're at today. Yep. I knew the iPhone was coming out. Yep. I knew eventually digital was going to be different. Yeah. Photography was going to change for sure. And I just love people. Yeah. And I loved helping people. Yep. And a friend and partner of mine said, come help me, do real estate, learn real estate, build a business.
Yeah.
And so I sold my book of business in photography and jumped full force in 2012.
That's awesome. So do you still do any type of photography as like a hobby? Because I know people that take photos usually have like a passion in taking photos. What do you like to, obviously you did real estate photos, but like if you could shoot anything, anywhere, what is usually I don't want to call it a genre, but like what is usually the theme of photos that you love to take that you really enjoy?
Good question. So my wife and I love to hike.
Nice.
So our last major hiking trip, we went to the Tetons and Yellowstone, and we brought all our gear and hiked 7 miles to get up early in the morning and wait for the sun to rise and get this specific shot that we wanted.
Yep.
And it's that kind of stuff that I would love still to do. And I bring my gear in our hiking trips. And most of the photos that are in our home are photos that we've taken. So
that's amazing.
It's been fun.
Yeah, because most photographers usually, they don't start out doing photography as a career or a job. They do it as a passion, and then it turns into that, right? Because then you obviously know that there's opportunities to get paid to do it.
Sure.
And so some of the photos that I love like skylines. I love the cool photos that people take of different cities. Like I follow a lot of photographers on Instagram for like different cities like LA or Chicago. I just love the different variations. Did you ever shoot any like downtown type buildings or anything?
Sure. That, I do a lot of slow exposure with a tripod and those kind of things. And boy, photography's changed. I mean,
I'll bet, yeah, especially with the technology and everything.
I think when I was doing it, I don't even think Instagram was out yet. So, So I watch some of these amazing photographers now and follow them, and I'm blown away by some of the stuff they do.
It's amazing.
So, yeah.
Now you got the drones as well.
Oh yeah, and
just it's awesome to see people's creativity because it's really artist, right? I mean, when you're taking photos and you're capturing moments, that's an artist.
Yeah,
and it's really cool to see.
And it definitely shows up in real estate. I mean, that's the first thing you see.
So that was what I was going to transition to. So now you get into real estate. Were you taking your own photos?
When I very first started, I maybe like my first 5. Yes. But then I quickly said no.
Yeah. You're like, no, I'm giving up the photography to be a real estate agent. I'm going to find someone else to do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so you got into real estate. What drew you into it? Now, obviously you're taking the pictures of the houses, but like, what was it that made you think like, you know what, I think I want to do this, or I'm going to do this?
Again, I think it goes back to people.
Really?
I just really enjoy helping people, advising them. I mean, it's one of the largest decisions of their life.
It is, yep.
And if you can go in there with an attitude of being an advisor or consultant, you're not selling them anything.
You're really not.
Right?
That's the awesome thing about real estate.
So, and that's just something I've always had a connection and loved people.
Yep.
So,
yeah. And speaking of that, so not only are you a real estate agent, but you're also doing coaching. And that's one of the things that actually caused us to be able to connect because, recently you came over to EXP and we're going to talk about that. But, before that, you were with a local boutique brokerage for how many years?
11 years.
11 years.
11 years, yeah.
Which most people don't stay in one spot that long, but you did, right?
Yeah.
And not only were you selling real estate there, you were also developing and coaching and training real estate agents, right?
That's correct, yeah.
So what did that look like? What caused you, now obviously I'm sure it has a lot to do with your desire of working with people, but how did that aspect come into it? So now you're selling real estate, you're helping people. How did that part come into play where now you're helping real estate agents as well?
I think for me, it was a kind of a tearing of what did I really like to do?
Yeah.
What am I getting passion out of?
Yep.
And not that going and selling someone's home or going in to list a house wasn't fulfilling. It just wasn't as fulfilling as seeing someone come into the industry and help them achieve something that they've never thought they were able to achieve.
Right.
For example, a waitress who's been a waitress for 20 years.
Yep.
Come in, learn the business, and make more money in the first year than she's ever made in her whole life.
Right.
And changing her whole life, right? So it's like that something in their eyes, like, wow, I'm living my best life.
Right.
And you've taught them a skill that they can take for the rest of their life.
Yeah, and you're almost a part of that process happening, which, as you know, I've been recording my audiobook and, going through it, a part of my book is on purpose, discovering your purpose. And I say in my book that discovering your purpose is directly related to two things. You're either making a difference in the world or you're helping people.
Sure.
And that when you're helping people and you're making a difference in somebody else's life, it gives you something that no commission check can can give you, right?
That is very true.
And so you start working with agents. And so you were with that company for 11 years. At what point did you start working with agents and developing agents?
I stopped in and out of sales for several years, trying to I was either maybe like a sales director or director of operations, and then I went back into sales, and I was really teeter-tottering because there was a part of me that didn't want to be sitting behind a desk all day long.
Right.
I had to be out with people.
Yep.
But then when I did that, I wasn't getting as fulfilled as much. Mm-hmm. So then a opportunity came up, what's called growth advisor, an agent growth advisor.
Yep.
And I said, there was 50 agents at the time. And I said, I think I can do this. I think I can manage and help these agents from very first million to some of them that wanted to get to their 10 to 15 million to hit 20 million.
Yeah.
You know? So at that point is when I really started to coach them on a weekly basis. And everyone had a little different, different skill they wanted to learn, but whether it be purchase agreement. But then it turned into something totally different, which was, in my mind, a God moment.
Yeah.
It all of a sudden wasn't even about real estate anymore.
Yeah.
It's how can I be a better husband?
Yep.
How can I be a better father? I'm going to be a father for the very first time.
Yep.
So that's really what kind of catapulted the coaching business to be launched.
Yeah.
So it's been very rewarding now.
That's awesome because, even you were smiling at the introduction of the show because faith, finance, family, fitness, and real estate, and those are similar categories or really the same categories that you're coaching on, because one of the things that I realized being a coach also in real estate with Clever U is it's great to coach people on production, but if their marriage is not good or they're in addiction or they're discouraged, depressed, whatever it may be, it's going to be very hard for that individual to show up their best from a sales standpoint if there's other areas that are off.
For sure.
And so even the show of really being able to talk about health and marriage and all of these things, I believe is important because people in this industry really don't talk about those things. It's usually like, how many homes do you want to sell? How much money do you want to make? What do you want your GCI to be, right? How many units versus how's your marriage?
Oh, so good.
Right? How are you handling your health, your stress, all of these things? And don't get me wrong, I believe that there is an important aspect of coaching that needs to be focused on production. But if that's all that it is, people are only going to be able to accomplish so much.
Sure.
And so at what point did you say that, you know what, I can make this into a coaching program and actually impact people outside of the company you were with?
I would say that's just 2 years ago.
Wow. So that was more recent.
Yeah, just 2 years ago.
That's awesome.
I doing a lot of training and reading and taking something called Elijah House, which is inner healing for Christian counseling and those kind of things, and just being a very good listener and trying to understand that if something's going on privately, it's going to show up publicly in your business every day.
All the time.
So if you can get a hold of what is it?
Yeah.
What are those limiting beliefs? Or those strongholds that you've partnered with that you need to release? You're going to be the best version of yourself.
Why do you think people are afraid to I don't want to say come to a reality of that? Why is it so hard for people to deal with the inner struggle? I think a lot of it has to do with shame, or people are just afraid to come out. And so people kind of stay in those strongholds and bound. I mean, in your discovery of working with people, is there a point that people finally reach where they're ready to say, you know what, something's got to give and something's got to change? Because when something is going on in private, the person who's struggling doesn't see it showing up a lot of times publicly, but other people around them do see that, right?
Sure. And wear masks, right? A lot of people wear masks. And you have the fake book. Right. They live that lifestyle that everybody shows, but on the inside, something's really going on.
Right.
And I think you've heard it before. When people are sick and tired of being sick and tired is when they really want help.
Right.
And the more vulnerable you can be and honest and getting that out, that's when healing can start. And
that's what it is, because also in my book, I talk about trauma. All the stuff that I went through was from trauma as a kid, right? Meeting with my counselor and having conversations and digging deep into that inner stuff. Most people don't. When you're an adult, you're not thinking of, oh man, when I was 5, this happened to me, or when I was 2, this happened to me, because we suppress those things, and yet those things still continue to show up.
Sure.
And if they're not dealt with, like you said, they play a role into every area of our life. And so So you start a coaching program, right? What's the name of your coaching program?
It doesn't really have, I have a 6-week program, but Justin, I don't have a name for it. It's just my name is what I do.
Yeah, there it is. So there's no actual name for it, but you started it. And what is this 6 weeks that you take someone through? What is it designed to help them to accomplish over that 6-week period?
Well, I have a planner that I had created called the Purpose Planner.
I love the Purpose Planner.
And a lot of people are getting good use out of it, right?
Yeah.
But it's a 6-week program designed to basically transform where you are now to where you want to be.
That's awesome.
And everyone has something different inside the planner that they want to basically achieve.
Yep.
All about buckets, faith, family, fitness, finance, and friends, right?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And some people want to attack one bucket and some people want to attack a lot of buckets. One of the things that I don't do because I don't believe in it is, hey, I want balance.
Right.
I want complete balance in my life.
Right.
And I say that's unachievable because you can't, we all wear different hats and you can't spend an equal amount of time on every one of your hats. That's not achievable.
It's not achievable.
So what is more your purpose and your priority inside those places so you can be present in the moment?
In the moment. That's good. Yeah. Cause not everybody has, like some people might have one of their buckets that are more, filled. And then some people might have one that's completely empty. So that's cool. So you customize it around that specific individual.
Yeah. And I never want to say it's a counseling session, but it's really where they want to go.
Yeah.
And
you're just helping guide them.
You and I are both very similar. We only can coach on our failures.
Right.
Right. That's why we were probably knowledgeable because we failed so much.
Yeah.
And that's what I just try to bring to the table is how have I failed?
Right.
What lessons have I learned in my life?
Yeah.
And how can I help that person not make those mistakes?
Yeah.
So.
And that's what coaching really is all about, right? It's being able to guide someone based on your experience to help them in a way that hopefully gets them to where they're trying to go sooner than later.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so you and I, because of this journey of coaching that you've been on for the last 2 years, led you to the Glover U event.
It did.
Back last January,
yes.
This past January. Let's talk about that. Like, how did you end up arriving, to this event, and then how we connected?
So an agent that I used to work with called me and said, hey, I heard you're leaving.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to recruit you.
Yeah.
But she actually mentioned, Jeff's name and said he'd, wants to have you come out to Orlando and experience one of the events.
Yeah.
And honestly, first of all, I said no right away.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I really didn't want to go from one name to another name. I just want to start my own thing.
Yep.
And pride got in the way in that moment when my wife brought me to a little bit of a come to Jesus for a minute. And said, hey, let's pray about that.
Yeah.
Let's find out, are you supposed to go to Orlando?
Yeah.
Well, and I prayed about it overnight.
Yep.
The next morning I called her and I said, okay, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm there for real estate, for coaching in my mind.
Yep.
And you step on stage and it was like you were me.
Yeah.
You use real estate as your ministry.
Yep.
And it was just really nice to hear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to go meet you.
Yep.
And I said, that's why I was in Orlando, not to coach for Jeff Glover or Glover U or join Jeff Glover or anything like that. It was to meet Justin.
And that was interesting because I remember, when I come off stage, like there's a million things going through my mind because I just all the energy and excitement and everything. And you came up to me, was it during lunch or was it right after me speaking?
It was what was it called? Like breakfast with coaches.
Coffee with coaches.
Yes,
that's right. It was the next day.
Yeah, next day.
So, because everything sometimes I was telling somebody is a blur at this conference because we're, as coaches and speakers, we're like running from morning until night. So I always say like the whole conference is like a blur.
Sure.
Because it's like, it's go, go, go. But I remember you coming up to me and introducing yourself to me, and I felt a God connection when I met you.
Yeah.
You came up to me and I'm like, I got to connect with this guy. And then I found out obviously there that you were from here, and we said, let's meet for lunch.
Yes.
And we actually met not too far from the studio.
Right
here in Brighton. It's been our meeting spot.
It has.
And so we started to meet. And what I was blown away with was when I met you and you started to share your coaching with me, I'm like, that's exactly the vision that God has given me for real estate agents, is to really be able to meet people where they are in these different areas and to help them have a better marriage, help them, with their faith, help them with their finances and all of these things. And I'm like, man, God is doing something here. And so we continued to meet. And so what was going through your mind when we started to meet and you kind of saw that we had some alignment for sure?
Yeah. I mean, it was basically the connection in faith for sure.
Yep.
And when you meet somebody in another state, but you're from the same area, that's validation that you're listening.
Yeah. Cause we were in Orlando.
Yeah.
I was in Florida. Yep.
So I felt like at that moment, like, okay, God, I'm getting validated for leaving where I was to go on this venture.
Right.
That was more validation.
Yeah.
And then the more we spoke and how our passions aligned, and we both have Emilios.
Yep.
Our sons.
Both of our wives are Hispanic.
Yes.
Yep.
So, and it just. And
I have a son named Judah.
I have a grandson named Judah.
You guys you can't make this stuff up. Honestly, you really can't.
So, it just felt right. I guess the only way I can say it is it just felt right. Yep. And since then, that's been January. So
it's September now, right? And so it's like, and it's gone by so fast.
It has.
And so we've been meeting and we've been talking, and then recently you decided to come over to EXP.
I did,
which is
about 30 days ago, maybe.
Yeah, which is another God thing, because you had another opportunity on the table, and you and your wife met with Joy and I. We had dinner together here down the street,
which was phenomenal. By the way,
it was, and we prayed and we just say, you know what, God, what do you want to do, right? And you were already in a transition period. You just didn't really know where you were transitioning,
right?
And so we talked about, what could this vision look like together at EXP? And what's interesting is, like, even Ryan, who you met, before we, stepped in here, same vision. And God is just bringing together a lot of people with a similar vision. And that's to serve and to empower people and see them transformed.
Yes.
Right, through the gospel.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. And so you decided to come over, and now things are really starting to take a shape of their own. But before we talk about that, what made you choose EXP?
You.
I appreciate that.
I mean, I think anybody could make the anybody can go for any split anywhere they want.
Anywhere they want,
right?
Yeah.
They always can get something bigger and better.
Yeah.
It's who do you want to align yourself with to make a greater impact?
Amen.
And I think the biggest thing for you and I that we're going to make an impact on is this part about marriages.
Yep.
And how they don't teach that in real estate.
No.
It is a daunting position.
Right.
Your phone, you are always on your phone.
Right.
And if you don't learn to put it down and be present and take time out with your wife, you can die quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And become a slave to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that marriage counseling, marriage seminars,
conferences,
those kind of conferences, I can just see it. And then the ability to coach on a national level was very interesting to me, because I want to reach as many people as I can.
Yeah. Because when God gives you a passion for something, right? Like for me, and this is one of the things that I share with you, like he's given me this vision of faith, finance, family, fitness, real estate, but I don't feel called to, lead each specific thing. You know what I mean? And yet I believe God's vision, we're all a piece of the puzzle that fits into it. And he's like building this masterpiece right now. And what's interesting is we don't have a clear idea of what the bigger picture looks like, but we just know that he's leading us in this direction of things to come. And it's really just steps of obedience of like, what does this look like on a large scale? And God, what do you want us to do? And I believe next year, especially in like 2024, we're going to have our first conference. And we're going to invite real estate agents, and we're going to talk about marriage, and we're going to talk about faith, and we're going to talk about finance. We're just going to let God use us to have his way.
Yeah.
And it's exciting.
Yes, very exciting.
And so now, you're with EXP. I appreciate that you came because of me. That's awesome. Yeah. But now you're starting to attract other like-minded people who say, you know what? I see the bigger picture and I want to be a part of it.
Sure.
And we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. You had kind of prophesized that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm being obedient.
Yeah.
And just trying to do what I feel is the best move for what he wants me to do.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. And what's exciting is you have plans to really get something established in your area in Fenton.
I do, yes.
Right? Talk about that. What do you want that to look like? Because you were kind of sharing a little bit with me about what that vision looks like, about having an office that provides a lot of different things.
Yeah, so I think when when we all got shut down, and we all had to work out of our homes, it was like that bear that has to go into the cave, but now it's time to go back out, and not a lot of people are having their own spot anymore.
Right.
And so we're like counselors and coaches and real estate agents are meeting with people in coffee shops, and there's not that brick and mortar anymore. Right. So I have this vision of a really neat coffee shop where you can come in and get a very nice, good cup of coffee. And maybe
I love coffee.
Maybe a donut. Come on, maybe a donut once in a while.
There's healthy donuts out there too.
And then, but on the outside, are small offices where you can actually come in and have a conversation with somebody. So if I'm in a coaching session, I can shut the door, have a cup of coffee, and talk to them. Yeah. But then there's collaboration spaces outside in the middle. Yep. So it's a different concept, but I do want to open something like that up in Fenton.
I love that because I think those type of concepts are what people are starting to be attracted to more, and it's because regardless of, COVID changed everything. Sure. Right. Even for bigger corporations are like, we don't have to have the big buildings and leases anymore. A lot of people work from home. However, I think one of the problems of people working at home is the isolation from other people and relationships. So it's good to have a place like what you're talking about, because then someone could go into a workspace, a shared workspace, grab a coffee, there's collaboration, there's an opportunity to spend time together, which I know EXP for the longest time, people were like, well, that's a virtual company. It wasn't too popular before COVID hit. After COVID, like, man, that was genius that EXP created a virtual brokerage. But what's neat is, we have offices throughout Metro Detroit. Ryan, who I was just saying, he has one in Grand Rapids. We've got one in Plymouth. We've got one in Oxford. We've got one in Mount Clemens. And soon, we'll have one in Fenton with you that will allow agents to say, you know what? I feel like going in and plugging in today. I feel like going in and connecting with Todd today. I feel like going in, having a closing today or whatever. It's cool to give people options, and that's one of the things that I love about EXP and what it offers.
Yeah, and you created the real estate role play room, which was just phenomenal. Yep. Think of it as another avenue to somebody come in, because you can really learn a lot when you're face to face with somebody.
Absolutely.
Body language, how you shake someone's hand the right way. I mean, some of these real young new agents don't know how to do that. Right. So it's the little things that matter.
Speaking of that, so my nephew, he's 19, he just graduated high school. And he's not a business professional yet, so he's learning. And I remember he was prospecting, and he was telling the person he was talking to about the things that we do. He's like, yeah, we come out, we take pictures, and then we fly the drone so that we can take pictures of the top of your crib. And I'm like,
crib.
but like you said, by being in proximity, I'm like, all right. I love how you sound, but we don't say crib in real estate. We say house. But like you said, but being able to connect in person, that's what I love about having a real estate office, is because when I came to EXP, I'm like, I have to have an office. I go into the office. I like having people in the office. And so giving people the option, that like what you're talking about, I love even more, is a cafe, grab a coffee, come hang out, collaborate. And people are drawn to that because people want to be around other people.
Yeah. And I think agents are craving training and accountability.
Right.
Especially in the marketplace when they have nobody to actually help them do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And what I love too is we bring something different. And I think that's what people are attracted to, because they know it's not just, all right, I'm going to teach you how to make money. It's, I really care about you, and I want to see you successful in every area of your life, including making money.
Correct.
But that's not the main focus.
Yes.
That's what I love about what we're doing.
Yeah.
So for those that are listening, Todd, right now, because this podcast goes to real estate agents all over the country, I know that, you're planted here in Michigan and you do coaching here, but your coaching doesn't have to be face-to-face, right? You coach.
Oh, I've got several clients I do on Zoom.
Yeah.
Out of state, for sure.
So if you could just talk a little bit more about, like, who is the ideal person, right? Like, if somebody's listening right now and they kind of hear what you're saying and they're kind of intrigued, who's the type of person that you're coaching or would want to coach with you?
Well, I would say from a real estate perspective, if it's an agent that maybe is hitting a ceiling and they just can't figure out why they can't get to the next level of something that they want to do, it's probably in your morning routine and your morning habits. Yep. And I can help a lot of people realize what you're putting into yourself the very first part of your morning is going to help you throughout the rest of your day.
That's
so
good.
Morning routines, accountability, those kind of things.
Yep.
I help a lot of people with that, but also just how can I maintain my real estate career and my family?
Right.
Like there's a juggling there that I can't understand how to do it properly.
They don't teach you that in real estate school.
Because I always am addicted to that next call because I have a fear. I'm partnering with fear that I'm going to lose that next deal.
Yep.
And you don't realize that when you partner with that fear, that'll never go away unless you say, my wife comes first.
Right.
And all of a sudden you get rewarded for that.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, my wife came first. I gave that lead away, but guess what?
I got 2 more.
We're in abundance.
Yeah.
Right. So just teaching people that it's okay to do that.
Yeah. One of the things that I did right from, year one, so I've been selling real estate now for 10 years, is I don't work on Sundays. And I've never worked on Sunday. We go to church in the morning and it's our family day.
Beautiful.
That was something that I drew the line. That was a non-negotiable for me. And what you just said is so powerful is you have to be willing to walk away from a transaction or a deal or an opportunity because you're putting what's more important first over just chasing a deal. Because like you said, it can become like a drug that you're constantly just chasing this high of the next deal and fear that if I don't do this, well, then I can't pay my bills and then this, that, and the other. And it becomes this vicious cycle, which then plays out into all these other areas of your life, stress, frustration, all of these things. And yet when you structure your business a certain way, I call them non-negotiables, right? When you have your non-negotiables set up, nothing's going to get in the way of that, right? And it doesn't matter the size of the deal, the commission that you could potentially lose, and there's freedom in that because most real estate agents work 24/7, nonstop, have no life. And this is why marriages are really messed up in real estate.
Yes, I agree.
Adultery, addiction, all of these things run rampant in real estate.
And it's not just real estate. Though,
no, it's
Justin.
not.
Like
it's not just real estate.
I coach small business owners.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. So if you're listening right now and you feel like Todd said, there's never a perfect balance, but you just feel like, because when things are out of balance.
Yes.
If you're finding yourself stuck right now, you're feeling out of balance, you feel like you're hitting the ceiling, you feel like you really need to take that next step. It's a 6-week program.
Mm-hmm. We meet once a week.
On Zoom or in person.
Yep.
How can people get a hold of you?
ToddWardo.com.
Yep.
You can reach out to me and respond to messages there, or you can sign up for a little 15-minute call and we'll get to know each other.
That's great. And then also if you're listening right now and you happen to be in Florida or in this area and you want to either buy a home, sell a home, can they reach you at the same website?
Yeah, sure you can.
ToddWardo.com.
Yeah, for sure. And we're in the Gulf side. We're in Venice.
Venice,
I don't know
okay.
where your place is.
Yep, more on the other side.
Okay,
Yeah, like Fort Lauderdale area.
But don't want to go today. Too hot right there right now.
Oh, it's so hot. It's hot here. Like 100% humidity. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I got out of the car yesterday and I'm just like, you could cut through the humidity. It was so, I don't like humidity.
Yeah, it did remind me a lot of Florida.
We've been lucky this year though. We have not had a lot of humid days.
No, but we got hit with a nasty storm last night.
So I live in Plymouth, and that tornado, there was a tornado that touched down less than a mile away. So we were standing in my backyard because I have a walkout basement. We opened it, and literally, like a part of it had to have gone over. I didn't see any funnels, but like stuff was flying everywhere. I thought the trees were coming down. The rain was going sideways. It was lightning blue, and I'm like, what's going on right now? Should we like go hide under the stairs or something? But I'm like, I don't want to miss it. I want to see what's going to happen.
Talk about work-life balance. Can you imagine being an insurance adjuster today?
Oh man. Yeah. Cause a lot of people got hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
Or if you're a real estate agent and you're interested in learning more about partnering with Todd and what we're getting ready to do, same thing, ToddWardo.com.
Yes. Same thing. Same thing. I have some really fun plans for Fenton and I'm excited about it.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was good. I can't believe it's already been over 30 minutes of us talking, but I definitely want to have you back because I know that especially as we start to figure out how to coach on a larger scale with people.
Sure.
I know that people need what it is that you're bringing to the table.
I appreciate that.
And I'm excited to see what God has in store for us because I know there's some big things coming.
I'm along for the ride.
Appreciate
you.
Here we
brother.
Go. Yeah, let's do it. Any final words that you would want to share with anybody that's listening, that maybe might really need to hear some encouragement or something? Or
yeah, I guess what's on my heart right now is I think in general, a lot of my clients lately, the word man is being attacked. What does it look like to be the leader of your family?
Yep.
And I think that a lot of my clients right now need to hear that. You're created for a purpose to be the leader of your family.
Yep.
And if you need to know what that looks like, or you just want to have a conversation, I'm here. So
ToddWardo.com.
Yep.
I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks,
Justin. It's
Justin.
an honor to be in business with you, and
you
excited
as well.
to see what God has in store.
Amen. Let's do it.
Guys, definitely reach out to Todd again, ToddWardo.com. This is a one-of-a-kind type of guy, awesome brother, and everything that he speaks is from a place of passion and sincerity, and I definitely know that he has a heart to help people. So reach out to him. If there's anything that we talked about today that you feel can help you, go to ToddWardo.com, and we're excited to do some great things together. And so if you love this show, do me a favor, go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Again, you can share it with those that your friends and family. If you really love the show, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. You can review us on your favorite podcast platform. And before we wrap up the show, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Next Door Lending. Guys, Next Door Lending is not just a sponsor of the show. This is my personal lender. This is who Joy and I and the Justin Ford Real Estate team entrust all of our buyers with. They have over 600 5-star reviews. They have they have a perfect A+ Better Business Bureau rating. They're in 24 states, guys. They're incredible. So if you're a buyer and you're listening and you need to be pre-approved to purchase a home, call my friends over at Next Door Lending. If you're looking to refinance your home and maybe take some cash out, call my friends over at Next Door Lending. And if you're a real estate agent and you're looking for a great lender that you can work with, call my friends over at Next Door Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. 2 things that I always leave you with. Number 1, it's not how you start. What matters is how you finish. And number 2, with God, all things are possible. God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.